Hello, everybody, and welcome along to One Hub Racing Season 27. We're at the second half of the season, and by the final 6 rounds, we will know who will be crowned champion for the P1 tier, and it's looking very closer than ever. My name is Jess Ball, and joining me once again, we have Mr. Mike Edwards. Mike, how you doing?
I am doing fantastic, Jess. Obviously looking forward to what should be a very entertaining race here at Imola. Of course, it's going to be one of those tracks where as long as you keep the penalties to a minimum, make sure you're not dropped out of DRS, you could be on for a good result.
Yeah, we saw, especially in the P3 tier, how that made quite a bit of difference to the race results. And it is a track where it requires so much precision and the traction zones are absolutely crazy. But before we talk about Imola, let's talk about last week's race where we saw Ben Mills take another victory. He missed the 2 races before that, but he carried on his championship campaign like he meant to go on. Apart from round 1 where he finished 13th, every single race, Mike, that he finished P1. That is astonishing.
Yeah, he's absolutely been having a great season as Ben Mills, and of course it was great to see himself, and not only himself, but obviously Callum coming back last week, and then obviously the returning drivers in Senna and Arnold as well. So it's going to be very interesting. Of course, now it's been a good week. It'll be interesting to see if it's going to be Ben Mills continuing that dominance, or if it's going to be Callum and Am coming back at him, or potentially a Senna or Arnold getting back up the pace on the new game.
I know in the pre-race show earlier on, Colin predicted that Senna was going to do well around here because Senna has done very well in the past. And if you look at what happened last time out in Imola, Senna was the one who took the victory. So Senna's the one to keep an eye on. Yes, he's only had a few races on the new game, but he's had a while to get used to it now. Watch out for him in this race. And, of course, he's not in the championship hunt. He's got a lot of work to do to make sure he can get some decent point out of this as well. And watch out for the likes of Kieran and Marco as well. They look usually good around here. And Casper. So there's plenty of drivers who we expect to challenge for good results. And Callum just missed out on the win last week. Maybe he could be the bride again and take the victory. Because I think he only had 1 or 2 race victories last season.
Yeah, and of course, I believe he done very well at Imola last time out. I can't remember if it was I don't think it was it a podium last season for Callum? I'm not sure,
remember.
But I know he had a good race. I know he had a good race here at Imola last season. Actually, no, sorry, no, he didn't. I remember now, his wheel disconnected at the start of the race and he had to retire. So Callum will be looking for a bit of redemption story from that.
Yeah, I mean, oh yes, it was the first race of the season. And Callum had, I think, wheel issues, I believe. So he's definitely looking the one to watch out for today, just to redeem himself a little bit there. So a little bit about the track. It's 4.9009 kilometres, 19 turns, 10 to the left, 9 to the right. And it only has 1 DRS zone just at the start-finish straight. And that is where all the time could be won or lost here this evening in this P1 tier. Kieran is only leading the championship, but not by much, to Axelot and Marco by 1 point. So it's going to make all the difference. But watch out for Ben Mills. J. Cole did not have the best result last time out in Baku. He took his car wear panel and things just didn't go his way.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, that's just the gamble at Baku. Of course, it's a track where you can overtake, so you understand taking the engine wear, gearbox wear penalties there, just because there's a track where you can overtake. But yeah, it just wasn't going J. Cole's way, and he's going to be hoping to bounce back here tonight.
We got a familiar face in the chat. Hello, Riley Byde. It's a long time I've seen you racing at One Hub. Welcome along to the stream, my friend. Maybe we could see you on the racetrack at one point. Welcome in. It is round 7 in Imola. We are about to get started with qualifying. And how many drivers have we got on the grid? My game has decided to have a bit of a moment. There we go. I think I've got my game sorted. Luckily, my Stream Deck is working this week. They updated the Stream Deck, so it actually works with OBS. The last few weeks, it didn't. So we are all good with that front. And with the adaptive weather system that we have at One Hub Racing, dry all the way through. Clear qualifying, and then we got light clouds, overcast to clear in the race. And we got 16 drivers that are on the grid at the moment. The first driver to set a lap time is the favourite going in tonight, Ben Mills, who is looking like he could get into the 113s in qualifying. He's trying to warm his tyres very frantically, which is very crucial around this circuit, Mike.
Yeah, again, his tyres up to temperature, and now it is all about getting that first lap on the board as he comes down the start from the straight. DRS wide open as we head down into the first braking zone. Of course, technically turn 2, but Tamborella as we come through now, and now is the run down to Villeneuve.
Yeah, turns 4 and 5, very committed. You've got to attack those curves. You can attack it a bit more in this game compared to the last game. Heading towards Tota in turn number 7, tight line, and then aim for the right-hand side as you enter turn number 8. As you can see, he's aiming for the right here into Hotel of turn 9. Sip gear he decides to take it at, which is recommended for the corner. In toward one of the most hardest corners on the circuit at Comunale. He's had the car a little bit unsettled for just a little bit, but he's got to nail this bit Variante Alta, as there's a bit of a slide there, a bit unsettled on exit, but still looked very committed. Again, this is people's bankers laps, so you would not expect people to do potentially well on their first runs, but we know with Ben Mills he could do good on everyone. 4th gear on exit, here he comes in through the last corner. What's it going to be? He's ran out of deployment as he comes up to the line, and he's already in the 13s.
Wow, the gauntlet has been laid down straight from the off by Ben Mills right there, and Casper here with a 14.4, which is a very good lap in itself, but it's just pales in comparison as Callum and Arm there 4/10 off. So that just shows the gauntlet at which Ben Mills has just chucked down there.
And I have to say, with the likes of Senna, he done a 14.1, Mike, but he invalidated his run. I can't remember where he invalidated his run, but that would have been enough for P2 on the grid as it stands, which is really good for him, but not ideal because he only has a few attempts to get it right. But I thought he would have probably aborted that run and gone into the pit so he can get a very quick run early on. But no, he decided to keep going to see where he would go. Lukey, the next driver to come across the line. As we did see in the pre-race interviews, I was having a little bit of fun reading the pre-race interviews before we came on air. And Lukey and Nick were having kind of a little bit of a banter going on, which I absolutely love. I think Lukey especially was saying what was their biggest rival. He said, I say anyone challenging from around 8 downwards, except for Nick. He's not a rival to me, easy driver to race against. And then Nick was saying that Lukey is only where he is because of that podium in Silverstone. Oh, the rivalry's there. Even though they used to be teammates, Mike, but the rivalry's still there.
Yeah, and Nick, another driver to keep your eyes on here tonight, because as we mentioned with Callum and Arms incident that happened last season, Nick also got caught out in that. Because remember, Callum and Arms ended up crashing into Nick, and Nick also was out of the race from there. So both Callum and Nick are going to be looking for redemption stories tonight.
Yeah, I think there's quite a few people that will be looking for redemption stories, even for the whole season. Like J. Cole's looking for a redemption story. We know Lukey, who DNF'd last week. There's quite a few people that did not show up last week that are looking for a redemption story. Anything can happen here, as we could see. I think a few people going into the pit. So your order so far, Ben Mills in P1 with a 1:13.910. Then we have got Callum in second with a 1:14.3. Then we got Casper Klein. I did say he would do well in qualifying. He's in third with a 1:14.420. Marco in fourth. Then we got Nick in fifth. You can see that gap between second and fifth already, looking quite close, and anything could happen. We were hoping it was going to rain just to fix the order up a bit, because I think every time the adaptive weather system was in place at One Hub Racing, it rained. So this is the first season where it hasn't rained in Imola since we introduced the adaptive weather system.
Yeah, and honestly, I'm kind of glad that it hasn't rained here at Imola. Just because obviously keeping track limits to a minimum is already difficult enough in the dry. When it comes to the wet, it's gonna make not only track limits a little bit more treacherous, it's gonna make the curbs more treacherous, which you need to attack around you, and also it's gonna make overtaking very difficult. So I'm kind of glad that no rain has come out to play here.
Yeah, it's probably one of the most difficult tracks to overtake on, I have to say. And you really want to get the best qualifying, because if you don't have a good qualifying, we saw in both tiers tonight, if you're near the back, you're going to be ending up getting absolutely swamped in turn one and probably making contact. So it's not going to be ideal in that sense, as Robike comes across the line into Actually, no, he's about to start his run. Never mind. We got his teammate Collie starting his run too. Colin, who was saying to me he wants a top 9 finish. He was being very exact with his words. Top 9 finish. He loves this track. And Nick says he wants to help Colin tonight because Nick thinks that Colin is going to do well this evening. So Colin is about to finish his run. What's it going to be for the Welshman? The Ferraris have got to do well tonight. That's not a good lap at all, Mike, for the Welshman. A 1:15.7. I know he could go at least a second or two quicker than that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's matched my lap from P2. That's what he's done there. He was a bit of a homage to a spin bike, I reckon, from Colin.
Yeah, I think that's an average P3 lap there from Colin. I'm sorry.
Ouch. Ouch.
Well, I like winding people up. I wind people. I try to wind people up. Now it's Colin's turn. Colin's gonna hate me, but I'm not racing next week. So there we go. Because he was probably gonna end up commentating P2, and I'm not racing next week, so he can't wind me up. Robike goes up to the line. P8 for the Red Bull driver, only a 10 shy of his teammate. So most people have done their runs as Ben Mills invalidates through Piratella, Mike.
Yeah, and that is not good. Very easily done, though, through Piratella, just to exceed the track limits, not only on that curb on entry, but also on the exit curb as well. If you just run a little bit wide, you can pick that up. But yeah, Ben is going to have to reset and go again. And he may go for another lap here, Jess. I think he might have the fuel to do it. So let's have a look and see as he comes through the final corners right now.
If I was him, I was going to the pits, because if you go into the pits now, you should have time to have 2 more runs in, and he does go into the pits, so he reads my mind perfectly. But Marco, the man, one of the drivers that's a point behind Kieran in the championship, has aborted his run as well. He could have gone quicker, so he dives it into the pits. Kieran has done his lap, and he goes second. Callum Alarm goes second, sorry. Kieran is third. So Callum and Kieran having a very good qualifying, as always. Let's see if anyone else is improving. We got J. Cole. Oh, J. Cole. J. Cole has invalidated his lap time, a 15.1, standing where he is now. It's not going to be good for him, but we'll see what everyone else could do. Owen is about to go to the pits, so that's his lap done. And Casper's on his out lap. Yeah, that's majority of people done on their runs. Apart from this man, Alexa. Oh, he's had a bit of a squirm in turn 7. That didn't look too happy through there.
Nah, the back end just stepping out on Alexa there on the exit at Tulsa as we come up now through Piratella. And very tentative, I'm going to say, through Piratella there. So I don't think Alexa is looking too comfortable around you.
He doesn't, and there's certain drivers that, of course, are more comfortable, more equipped to the low downforce circuits compared to these type of circuits, because the final half of the calendar, the majority of them are either medium to high downforce circuit. So the drivers that you would expect to do well in low downforce circuits, you got to have a balance of both circuits. So if you're only good at one, not the other, then you're not going to have a good season. So here comes Alexa through the last corner, in past Vavata, in past Varantivasa, up to the line. Nah. That wasn't the best lap at all from him. I think, was about a few seconds lower as previous best. If I was him, I would have gone into the pit so he can do one final run. So that's everyone's second laps done. I wonder if people will have time for 4 runs.
It's going to be very close to get 4 runs in, I think, when Alexa did try to push again for another lap, but that's an invalidation right there for Alexa. So that's Alexa's lap over and done with, as I'm on board with Senna now, who's just started his lap. Of course, someone that has had a great historic success around this circuit, so we're going to see what he can do. First sector split at 23.6.
Looking good for Senna. Of course, he did a 14.1 earlier before he invalidated his run, but he had clearer air at the time, so I wonder if he's invalidated again. Same place as Ben earlier. He's only got one more run to do, and that's it. He's not going to have time for a second to last run, and he's down in last at the moment.
Yeah, this has not been a great qualifying session from Senna. 2 invalidated laps thus far, which is not ideal for him. Meanwhile, you got Ben Mills, who's also invalidated. Callum in the pits. I believe Arnold's just started his.
Casper,
no, he's just
second.
Ooh, Casper there with a big lap.
That's his PB, I believe. I'm not entirely sure on that one, but he's a second driver into the 115s. What about the 2 Red Bulls? They're about to start their run. We've got Chris, who's one of the drivers, taking a car wear penalty this evening. Atslot would have, but unfortunately he's not feeling very well. He's got his brother's bug. He's got a fever, unfortunately. It seems to be going around not just in the UK, but everywhere at the moment. But in Hungary, he's gone from like the UK to Hungary or something. So Atslot, get better soon. I know you're watching the stream in bed, so well, I hope you're in bed anyway, because I don't know what you're doing otherwise. So yes, unfortunately, Atslot is not going to be here this evening. So hopefully he can rest up ahead of Singapore next week, which is a shame because he was close enough to a lot of the drivers in the championship. He's going to lose on so many points, but health comes first.
Yep, absolutely, and nothing's more important than making sure that you are fit and healthy. So, Axlock, make sure you recover soon, mate.
Yep, so Chris has got to pretty much do the donkey work for the Aston Martin team that are looking, well, they got to have a miracle to close up to the likes of the Racing Bulls, who are currently sitting in P1 in the championship. That was very nicely done from Kieran through at Kamurali. What gear does he take through into the Variante outer? 3rd gear. Nicely done from him. He could have been a bit more committed through a little bit of the curb, but sometimes less is more to gain all that lap time in towards Ravats. And now you'll be lucky if you would live around it, because you get to watch a lot of Grand Prix and lots of racing action around it. 3rd gear on entry, 4th on exit, up through the gears into the last corner. He's almost out of DERS, and it's a 1:14.133 for him, which puts him into 4th place, not far off Callum unarmed. It's the calm before the storm, Mike. Everyone has set their 2nd or 3rd laps. Who can anyone beat the likes of Ben Mills or Casper? If I were a betting man, the only people that could do that is Callum and Kieran, or maybe Senna if he gets his app right. But Senna's going out now.
Yeah, Senna's making sure that he's got enough time to do a lap, and if he invalidates, maybe he can save up enough battery to go again. I tell you what, one person who's having a bit of a torrid time out there in qualifying is Marco at the moment, all the way down in 9th place. I was on board with his lap and he invalidated, so it was unfortunate for him. Colin with a big improvement all the way up into P6 at 14.4. Now that's more like it from Colin.
Yeah, Colin, I mean, he likes his circuit and he was just warming up to get the lap right. But sometimes if you even have a long break between sessions today, and he was also commentating, then sometimes that's enough just to like get you out of the system and lose a bit of time. And it may take a while for people to get back into the swing of things around Imola, because of course it's different on every game. So here comes Senna then, through the last corner. He's going to start his final lap. He's going to beat the gauntlet, the benchmark potentially. He's Colin's pick for the win tonight, and if Senna doesn't get a good lap, then Senna could blame Colin for that one as he enters turn 2 now. Very nicely done from him. Of course, in real life, we saw Max Verstappen win. Max Verstappen looking very good around this circuit. Senna looking to do the same thing and get 2 race wins in a row. Oh, my goodness. Senna is invalidated again.
He's got time to back off and go again, though. So that's the advantage that Senna has by going out as early as he did.
Yeah, that is a good point. I think he's done the right thing there. I hope he's still saving a bit of battery, which he is, which is a very good thing. So let's watch Alexa for he's invalidated too. Now, that's going to be the common thing we see today. I won't be surprised if most people tonight get at least 1 3-second penalty. If, honestly, if you've not practiced, you'll definitely almost get at least one. But I know there's a few people that practice that were just finding the limits and seeing where they could cut corners and where they could not. So Alexa, I think, would go again as well. Let's see how Senna's teammate Arnaud does through in towards turn 7. I felt like from last week, he's more of a race pace kind of guy. But that's not going to suit him well here because, like we were saying earlier, it was a track where you could hardly ever overtake except through the first corner.
Yeah, and to be fair, the first sector split, a 10.5 up, is good for Arnold. Let's have a look at the middle sector split. He's 2.5 tenths up.
That is looking more better for Arnaud, which will put him, I think, I'm near Kieran and Callum, which will be great to see. And sometimes the final sector would be enough to really help you on your lap. And I am seeing if it's either Ben Mills or Lukey about to start a lap. We'll find out in just a second. Here comes Arnaud. So this is looking like a good lap from Arnaud. It is P4. For the Belgium, he sorts himself there. Marco needs to have a very good lap. He's just started one. We got 2 of the racing bulls. I think maybe one of them is going to give a tow. I don't know. They're not leaving much of a gap, but I wonder if it's going to be slipstream. It's a bit of a gamble because if one of you messes up, that's going to mess up both of their lap times, and both of them just crossed the line in time.
Well, here we go. Jess coming for the final corner is Senna. He's got a valid lap together. Let's see where it's going to put him as he comes across the line. It's a 14.1.
14.1. Look at how close the grid is. It's probably the closest qualifying we have seen. Owen is next across the line. He improves up to P7. There we got one of the McLarens. That's Callum. Can he go from P3 to P1? No! Not that far off. So close. We've got Robite up to the line. He goes 7th. We've got Jaco, who's down in 14th for the minute. He needs to get a lap together, but he does not. That is his lap time over. Chris goes up to the line in at P13. We got Ben Mills, who can't do anything about it. We've got, I think, one of the Hasses. Alexa goes into the pits. Marco's on a run. Can it be enough for pole? 14.293, which puts him into P8. We've got Colin, who I believe invalidated, so that's his lap time over.
I think Kieran's up.
Kieran, he's 4 times up. This could be pole. This could be pole for Kieran. Yes, it is. Kieran's got pole by just under a few 100ths of a second. Casper, unfortunately, well, I think he was helping his teammate, I'm almost certain of it. But I wondered that tow helped Kieran find that extra tenth or two. That was very good teamwork from the Racing Bulls.
Yeah, and look at that. The top 4 separated by less than a tenth of a second. That's how close it was at the fight for the top. But the entire grid, very closely matched, I think, around here.
This is insane from this grid. The closest we've seen in One Hub Imola this season. And the top 4, yeah, separated by less than a tenth. We'll go for your order in just a minute. So we got Kieran from Ben Mills, Callum unarmed, Casper Klein, Arnaud, Senna, Robite. Good qualifying from him, only 3 tenths down. Marco, could have been better for him. He's only down in 8th position. Nick in 9th, Owen 10th. Then we got Colin. And then a 5-10th gap between the rest of the field of the likes of Collie, Chris, Jaco, Lukey, and Alexa. So there's plenty of drivers, Mike, that got a lot of work to do, especially in Marco, who could take advantage with Atslot not being here. Kieran and Ben could gain a lot tonight if Marco doesn't get his act together.
Yeah, Marco is unfortunate. I mean, Marco is starting well down the order compared to where he would like to start, of course. But the one thing that I learned, Jess, and if the P1 drivers were watching both P3 and P2, they would have noticed how good the undercut was around here. So maybe Marco will be trying to fit that into his strategy.
Yeah, I'm almost personally think that's what let me down a little bit in the second stint, because you gain, I think, the person in front of me gained like 2 seconds, and then I was able to gain, I think, about 1 or 2 seconds to the cars around you. So you had to respond to that moment. That's what I had to do in P2. I was planning to pit one lap later, but I had to pit early, which meant I had to manage my tyres more effectively as well. So if you're thinking about pitting, maybe pit a bit lap early than you think you're going to do, because otherwise you really are not going to have a very good race. So we have got engine and gearbox penalties for P2 to go through, the most out of any tier actually at the moment. So we've got Axelot, of course, he was taking his gearbox, but that's being rolled to next week. So we got Chris taking his gearbox, Marco taking his engine. I think, honestly, he's made the right decision taking his engine penalty here in Imola, because you can tell he did not have the best of qualifying. And Curry is taking his engine, but I'm not sure if Curry is here this evening. So it'll be Chris and Marco that we've got to keep an eye on. And I think Marco definitely did the right thing there to take his engine here.
Yeah, and to be fair, I mean, from Marco's point of view, it might be better starting at the back than in the mid-pack going into Zambarella for the first time. Just lap one and that, you never know what can happen. Side-by-side action, there can easily be a car that spins off another car like in front of you. So I think Marco starting towards the back will have the opportunity to just avoid anything like that happening.
Yeah, I think so as well. So I think we saw a few people at the back have a very good result as well, and people in the mid pack, well, they had a rubbish result. I may need to rejoin the session because there's people that keep leaving for me. So I will probably need to leave the session in just a moment. But anyway, whilst we do that, we've got some media day stuff to go through, starting with the drivers' press conference. And of course, the Tifosi, one of the Tifosi drivers had to be called into this one, and that was Nick. And the press was saying how this season has not been the best for him, but it is his team's home circuit. Is this a track you think you would help get your season get back to where you want it to be? And if not, what track would you think will do that for you? And Nick has admitted that it was a funny season for him. Silverstone was a disaster, and since then he struggled for one lap pace, but he had top 5 pace in the races. But because where he started in qualifying, he always falls out of DRS zones and only been at the bottom end of the top 10s. Nick enjoys driving at this track, which he's looked good in practice. He's hoping for his teammate that could get a good result on Sunday, but he's really looking forward to 2 tracks that I'm looking forward to as well, Austin and Qatar. He likes those high downforce circuits, Mike.
Yeah, he does, and he's definitely going to be looking forward to those 2 in particular. He's definitely looking good, from his quali pace here tonight. So we'll see how he gets on, because he said he's got top 5 pace. Now's the time to prove it. You got a decent qualifying spot. That's the time to press forward and see if you do have that top 5 pace. But I'm more interested in the ongoing rivalry between Nick and Lukey. I'm not gonna like.
I am as well. It's going to be very exciting. I mean, there's some weeks where Nick has been looking quite quick, and there's some weeks where Lukey is looking quite quick. So I'm really excited to see how that's going to fare. And we've also had rivalries this week from Chris and Alex. If you can send me an invite again, that'll be lovely, because I got kicked out. But Chris had a bit of a coming together with Alex last week. Alex, I believe, got a penalty, and they were asked, they were very competitive, how can you make sure you don't have a coming together in qualifying again? Chris said it was not the kind of driving you expect in league racing. In real F1, there'll be a slam dunk penalty for him, so that's why the stewards penalised him for it. However, there was nothing malicious in it. He apologised, and it's all okay. We go to the next race. And Alex pretty much admitted to his mistake right away. He thought he was not on the last lap until it was a little bit too late. And he must have distracted him, but technically didn't impede. Also, locked my brakes and got myself damaged, doing my best to stay off the racing line. May decide against blaring music doing qualifying going forward. So yeah, sometimes it's good during practice to have music on, but during the actual session where it actually counts, definitely not, right, Mike? Because it could distract you.
I'm probably the wrong person to ask. I get distracted very easily. I'll get distracted by a butterfly on the wall in the background. So I'm probably the wrong person to ask with regards to that. But yeah, in terms of racing with music on in the background, I know it works for some people because it helps them concentrate. And that. Me personally, like I can't do it. And I'll just start singing in the cockpit and I'll just driving around.
Yeah, so I think, I definitely asked the wrong question there to you, Mike, because Mike always likes his music. If you watch Mike's stream, it's he always bangs her out to music. It's absolutely crazy. So if you're wondering what the wait is, everybody, the Lukey, the tier coordinator, is getting the grid set up for the racing this evening. Of course, he has to worry about the penalties and also the gearbox and engine penalties as well, which we just talked about. So people have been asked about what they thought of Imola. Robite is excited about this track, hoping for a good result. Nick said it's fun to drive. Casper saying better say nothing, bites otherwise. I've learned to not say too much in some chats because otherwise I would have a rubbish result. J. Cole says he likes Imola, wouldn't say it's his favourite track, but he does enjoy racing it. Atsalot feels not confident, but he's not racing tonight, which is a shame. Ben Mills says, it's not one of my favourites on this game. Track limits could be iffy and curb usage is unrealistic. Now, that is interesting coming from Ben Mills. Curb usage is unrealistic. Well, we wouldn't know because we wouldn't experience what things are going in real life. Not Casper. Chris doesn't like Imola. Lukey saying confidence is low and he hasn't had that much practice. He hasn't been feeling very well. Marco said he hopes it rains during the race. Well, as the adaptive weather system says, it's not going to rain. So, unfortunately for him, it's not going to work out well. Why would he have wanted rain with a track that he was doing his engine penalty?
It's a bit of a... It's a bit of a strange one. Maybe he's more confident in the wet around you than in the dry and being able to make overtakes happen. So maybe that was his thought process. And, I mean, he's not got it, but maybe that was just his thought process.
Yeah, his thought process just seems to me that he thinks he could overtake in the wet and he has strong pace in the wet like we saw with Silverstone last time out. Well, not last time out, in at the beginning of the season. So that's potentially why he would have thought that he would have done well there. And I'm just trying to see what Marco was saying in the interviews on who he thought would be his biggest rival. And let's draw our attention to our championship protagonists. He thinks Axel, Kieran and Ben. And Ben Mills is saying on track has been Callum and Marco, but in terms of the championship, it has to be Kieran and Axel as well. So the same rivals with our championship contenders is coming along. And quite a lot of people are saying Callum, even though Callum, there's a few races where he hasn't gone well, and there's some races Callum hasn't taken the victory. So it just shows, Mike, that consistency is key.
Yeah, consistency is key. And, of course, Callum's had a bit of an up and down season thus far. And, of course, Ben, other than Silverstone, where I think... was it a puncher at the end? If I remember
Callum
correctly?
and Ben had a puncher.
Yeah, apart from the puncher incident at Silverstone, like Ben has just been consistently up at the front, and Callum's had a bit of a topsy-turvy season thus far.
Yeah, I mean, he's missed a few races. I believe he's also missing next week. He's missing Singapore. So that's going to be his final race that he's going to miss, which is going to give advantage to the likes of Ben Mills that's going to not miss the rest of the season. Now, Lukey has been given the call to ready up, so we should be getting underway shortly, which gives us a great opportunity to talk about our predictions for the race victory. Who do you think is going to win this race, and who's going to be second or third? Mike, I'll start with you.
Okay, right. It's a boring prediction for the race win, but I'm going to go Ben Mills for the race win. I'm going to go Senna P2, and I'm going to go Kieran P3.
I'm going to go with Ben, Kieran, someone's going to kill me if I say whoever's going to be in P3. Senna. That's going to be my top three. So, yes, that's who I think it's going to be. Let us know your predictions in the chat. That'll be amazing, including quite a few of you that are watching at the moment. Let's go through our sponsors before we start the main race action. Next up, we're racing. There's quite a few prizes that we got for season 27. Here's what the drivers could win. Of course, we've got Pure Sim Gear. You can get 10% off by using the code OHR10P at checkout. You can get some sim racing gloves and socks. And the driver that has the most combined poles and fastest laps will win those from Pure Sim Gear, also known as a Speedster Award. We got Sim Racing Setups, our newest sponsor for this season. You can get a discount from them. You can use the code OneHubRacing at checkout, and they have bundles full of setups. They have a esports setup, safe setups, wet setups, intermediate setups, a lot. So if you're struggling to find a setup for F125, you can get it. I use both their race and quali setups for tonight's race in the P2, and I got on very well with them. The only tinkering I had to do for the race setup was a little bit up in the tyre pressures on the rear. That was the only thing I did. But apart from that, the setups that I had for Imola this week were brilliant, and also the ones who get the most drive of the days get a £100 voucher at the end of the season. And of course, every drive of the day we get from each tier this season wins a £10 voucher. I still haven't got mine yet. Wink, wink. Joking. Anyway, we got our partners Vespertine supporting our championship apparel and merchandise, as well as giving some prizes to people. And finally, our partners at SimGrid that do our lovely standings and also allow our sign-ups to happen. And it will be not very easy if we don't do it that way. So those are our sponsors. I'm going to ask one question to you, Mike. I know definitely what the answer is going to be based on what happened in the first two tiers. Do you think we're going to get a safety car in P1?
Ooh. Do you know what? Just because it looks like the grid is so evenly matched for each other, I think we're not going to get a full core safety car, but I think a virtual safety car could be deployed.
Virtual safety car. There we go. That is his prediction. I think there's going to be no safety cars. I'm sure you can let us know in the chat on where you think it's going to happen. I was surprised we didn't get one in any of the two tiers today. I thought in P3 we were definitely going to get one. But in general, I think the racing was a lot cleaner. As we're about to get underway, the 5 red lights here today in Imola. Action here at One Hub Racing. You can see one of the Alpines did not get a good start, but you can see Ben Mills already got a good launch up the line, got a good toe around the outside of Kieran into T1, and it's a teeny bit of contact from some of the drivers. Chris has dropped position, so has Arnold, but Ben Mills already pulling away. Roby going up the inside of Colin up into 8th place, so he's gained a position. Owen's gained a position as well. To the Racing Bulls are trying to work together here, but Ben Mills had the best start out of anybody and is leading the way.
Yeah, Ben Mills, a fantastic launch. Callum and Arms getting through on Kieran as well into turn 1. And I'm not going to lie, with Kieran, he's on the hard compound tyre. He's gone a little bit different to the top 2 at the moment. And you can see just the lack of grip he has compared to the mediums when it is this fresh versus each other. He's already outside of the DRS range, and that I think could hinder his teammate and Senna and Nick in behind.
Yeah, I was wondering why he didn't get a good launch up on the line compared to everybody else, and he's already out of DRS range. Yeah, that's going to cost him. We saw in one of the pre-race interviews, especially with Nick, that if you are already out of DRS zone after this point, that's where you're really going to struggle for this. Owen is also on the hard, as well as J. Carl, Marco, and Chris. Alexa's gone into the pit, so he must have got damage there. Casper goes past his teammate up into 3rd, so you can tell Casper really wants to go through and close in on Callum and Ben quite quickly. Colin having a great battle with Roby. He's past Roby. He's 3 wide, and that's one of the other Red Bulls of Collie also trying to get past J. Carl as well, and all that squabbling is getting them out of DRS range to Owen. So these guys have got to get a move on here.
Yeah, unfortunately though for these guys, it is still a little bit early in the race, so they can't get themselves back in it. As you see, Casper, once being released by Kieran, he's got himself back in DRS of the top 2, but Kieran again out of DRS range on his teammate. Kieran
does hopefully could have the pace, but maybe he decided on the wrong tyre. He might have gone for the wrong tyre accidentally, because around Imola, it takes a long time for the hards to warm up, especially at the start of the race and with high fuel. So Casper, you can see he's got the pace right now, but imagine what pace he would have been if he was there with these drivers from the start. DRS is activated and is going to be activated from this point, and we're going to see how they're going to use the DRS tactically. Will they decide just to stay behind and just...
Senna.
Here comes Senna. Senna is trying to get past Kieran. Those hards are just definitely not working for Kieran right now. And Senna is saying, thank you very much, up to 4th. Can he close in on Casper? I think so. He likes Imola.
Yeah, Senna through now. He can try and pull a gap on Kieran and try and close in on the top 3 if possible. And obviously the gap is 1.6, 1.5 right now between Senna and Kieran. He's going to be open in this middle sector. The dirty air effect for Callum and Kieran will slow him down enough they can get back within DRS range.
Yeah, I've experienced it in our races. The dirty air, especially through T1, in turn 2 is an absolute nightmare. You've got to brake earlier than the racing line says, because otherwise you will lose so much more time. So you've got to play about with when you could overtake and when to make the overtake stick in the way, because if you are behind and you brake like you normally would, that's where you're going to lose your momentum and stuff. So that's what these two have got to think about, especially the likes of Casper, who's in the middle of this train. I saw Callum having a little bit of a slide there. I think with the setup wise, it's always best to run max tyre pressures all the way around here, because otherwise you will be sliding in the rears. Collie has got past Jacob up into 10th place. Let's see what Casper could do. Can he get past Callum? No, he cannot. You can see a lot of battery has been burned from our top 3. You can see the light is going.
Yeah, a lot of battery has been burnt, especially by Casper, and of course he's burnt that to try and close back up to these two up ahead. So I think now Casper's there. It's just going to be about trying to stay with them, save up the battery, and then think about the pit stop phases. Now, necessarily, he's not going to be risking any overtakes this early in the race, I don't think.
I would expect potentially quite a few drivers to come into the pits at the end of next lap, because I think we saw in the earlier tiers, the undercut is powerful. So I would expect at least one driver to come in early.
Well, I mean, that's what I did in P2, and I pitted at the end of lap 5, and they got me into the battle with you. But it looks like Senna's had a bit of a moment at the chicane, and he's gone into the gravel, and that's allowed Nick and Kieran through, and Owen's got through as well, and now Colin's on the back of him.
Are we going to start to see the hards really come into fruition and be the best rubber in a few laps' time? We'll have to wait and see. Road Bike's getting a first penalty. We're already seeing time penalties on the board here. Casper's looking very racy. Could he go up the inside on Callum? No, Callum shuts the door on Casper. I think he'll get it this lap. Nick has had a brilliant race so far. He was lower down. I'm just seeing the positions gain here. He started in 7th place and he's up into 4th. He likes this circuit, and that's definitely helping right now. Kieran on those hards, it's just not working for him at the moment, but one thing that is working for is Nick. He's having a sensational race.
Well, I'll tell you what, one person who's had a great start as well, the man down in P10, coming through the field on the set of the hard compound tyres, and that is Marco. He's up 6 places off the start, and he's on the back of Rob White and Colin R. Mason right now.
Yeah, he is. I have to say, Marco, on those hards, we can see the buffer. Here's Colin. Colin's had it off. Colin's had enough in the gravel in Acca Minerale. Oh, his day is going from bad to worse. He's involved in quite a few incidents today.
Colin, unfortunately, it looked like a big lockup going through Acqua Minerale, and he's just gone careering on into the gravel trap on the exit, and that's just cost him a whole heap of positions, and obviously a lot of time as well, because you've got Chris, who's on the teetering edge of DRS as well. He's just about managed to keep it, but here comes Marco on Rob White, and he's using a bit of the battery as well as the DRS, and he's going to go for the overtake. Up ahead as well, you see Kieran getting through on Nick, and Senna and Owen side by side coming through Tamburella.
And Senna looks like he's going to get the position back from Owen, but Owen's going to top through. Marco in there as well. Could be 3 wide. That was almost contact, but pure respect between all those 3 drivers. Insane.
A lot was going on in a very short space of time here, Jess. It was hard to keep up with it all, but Marco getting the job done on
J. Cole.
Robbite, Senna and Owen. Oh, J. Cole through.
What a move from J. Cole there. I think it was around the outside of Piratella there. Great stuff. He's already up into 9th. This is the closest race we've seen in P1 all season, and I'm loving it. But one thing we're not noticing, Ben Mills, he's already broken free of DRS to Callum unarmed. So Callum is going to be in a bit of bother. He's got to burn some battery to get through and close in on Ben Mills, because look at who's within DRS. Casper Klein, but he got to be within 6 tenths. Cam's done the right thing here. I would have pitted at this point. He comes in for a set. I would have said for the hard compounded tires. Yes, he does go onto the hards. I think he's going to come out in a decent gap, because he saw the gap between him and Ben increase, so he didn't want to lose any more time. So he come in. Here comes Senna. Senna's through on Nick. Nicely done into Tamburello, but Nick's going to try and fight back here. They come to blows before. Let's hope they don't come to blows again. They don't. Nice race between the pair of them. Senna is up to 4th already, and he's 1.5 seconds behind Kieran, and he's closing in fast.
Yeah, and I think now is the moment where we're going to start to see the hards really come into play here.
Marco.
And Marco.
He almost got. Nope, I thought Marco was going to go for a move there. Sorry about
that. I mean, J. Cole was on the back of him, so J. Cole was looking at potentially sizing up a move on Marco there. So maybe that is what you caught for the timings. Yeah,
potentially. Yeah, I was looking everywhere, to be honest. I'm liking the mixture of strategies here. I thought we were going to have majority people on the mediums, but we have half on the hards on half on the mediums. We can start to see who's made of the right stuff. I hope people are using their heads and not pitting too early if you're on the hard compounded tyres. Here comes Ben Mills. Well, Ben Mills had to respond, so he's pitting now. I'm surprised that not many of the other medium runners are coming in. Nick's done the right thing, so's Robai, but Senna and Casper staying out. Surely they've listened to the other streams, right? They've seen that the undercut was powerful. They could have done that. Here is Ben Mills. And where's Callum on the circuit? Where are you? There you are.
He's got the overspeed.
He's got the overspeed. We're going to see it's going to be, I think, the overcut's words by, I think, about a second the undercut was. But because Ben was so far ahead, that's why it's closer than it is. So there we go. Bring on the fight for the lead of this race. And Nick is, I think the gap's quite big between the front two, but we won't know how that is in comparison to what these front two are doing. I think Casper's going to be behind the front two anyway, but the others we don't know until these guys make their pit stops.
Yeah, we're not sure yet. I think for Nick, he's hoping that he can close in somewhat decently on Casper and get a nice little gap to Senna as well when Senna comes into the pits. And then Nick can focus on his race, try his best to close in on Casper, who's in the pits now. So we're going to find out very quickly just how it's going. And same with Senna also.
Yep, Senna's in. And Connie, Arnell, is Arnell coming in? No, Arnell's staying out. Stack. Yeah, because he didn't want a double stack. Yeah, there we go. It was Marco. J. Cole got past Owen. Sorry to cut you off there. J. Cole got past Owen into turn 2.
Yeah, Ben Mills getting past Callum with the ADO DRS down at the start-finish straight. And he is now back into the net race lead. Callum needs to make sure he stays with Ben. He doesn't want to get dropped out of DRS range again.
No, he definitely does not. Because otherwise...
Senna.
Oh, Senna! Oh, Senna's right by Nick. They're closing up once again. That gap didn't seem to make much of a difference. They were the same. It was the same gap than it was before, which shows how good of a pace they are. But a yellow flag, that's Alexa that's had a moment in Villeneuve chicane. Well, actually, no, it was Tota.
Yeah, what's called? I mean, Nick was very close to the back of Senna coming through Tamburello there. So unfortunately for Nick, he wasn't able to get the move done, and he lost a bit of time in the wake of Senna. So he's going to be hoping with DRS he can get himself ahead of the Alpine and maybe try and work with Senna perhaps to close up the Casper, because I think that is what these two need to do now, in my opinion.
Yeah, even though you're not teammates, find a way just to get within DRS, because DRS is king around here. If you do not have DRS, you're going to lose so much more time. And Ben set a 15.7 on the hard compounded tyres. That's what you did in qualifying, Mike, which honestly, Ben is insane right now. He's looking like to get a fourth victory of the season, and it will be his third. Actually, no, it won't be his third in a row because he missed the last few races, but it will be another race victory for Ben if he could keep this up. But Callum wants to get his first race victory of the season. He's right on the back of him into Tota, but one advantage Ben is going to have is he's going to be on the fresher rubber. Let's look at Callum's ERS. He is on about 20% at the moment. If Ben's probably saving up the most. Ben's got the benefit of being behind and being ahead and can save up all the ERS, and he can attack when he needs to.
Yeah, absolutely. And what's called, I mean, Ben right now is just managing his ERS so well, and this Callum's got to use to stay with Ben. So I think in raw pace, Ben's got the edge over Callum here, but Callum needs to use just enough ERS to stay within DRS range, because as long as he's in DRS, he's a threat to Ben here.
Yeah. I think he's got to play tactically here if he wants to have a chance of winning this one. Arnaud's the last person on those mediums to come in, as Jaco has passed Marco into T1. It did look easy as I went on board with him, but Jaco is up into P2 of this race and he's going to chase down Kieran. And Jaco's had a very good race, a good recovery so far. So where is Arnaud going to come up? He's going to come up way down the field, but for him it doesn't matter. Oh, it looks like one of the Racing Bull, no, not the Racing Bull, the Red Bull was having a fight with Lukey. Collie just about gets ahead of Lukey.
Yeah, lovely little battle going on between the Red Bull and the Williams right there, going in towards Tamborella. But yeah, Collie gets the move done ahead of Lukey. And honestly, we've had a couple of penalties now pop up, Jess. I think one penalty that everyone's going to have to make sure that they do not get is our 10-second speeding penalty, because it's very easy to pick up a 10-second speeding penalty into that pit lane.
I hope the drivers have been practicing their pit lane entries, because if they didn't, then it's going to come back to bite them and they're going to speed too much and bang. It's quite a short pit lane entry as well, so you got to time it perfectly. As J. Cole comes in, he doesn't speed into the pit lane. I don't think anyone else has got any speeding pit lane penalties, if I'm not that mistaken. No one's got any speeding in the pit lane penalties so far, so everyone has listened, luckily. J. Cole has gone for a set of the mediums.
Interesting from J. Cole, this is. To be honest, I thought he would have gone hard mediums to be on the fastest tyre towards the end. But he's up there for a different strategy. We're going to see how he works out. He's come up behind Lukey now. So he's already got a little bit of traffic to try and overtake, but he's got so much more grip. You got to think by the time he comes around to the next DRS straight, it's going to be absolute light work for J. Cole.
Yeah, I think J. Cole is going to make light work. He's going to get it now. It's Totes around the outside. Lukey comes off to the inside. Surely this may not work for J. Cole, but he's not going to get back without fight. There he goes. J. Cole's through. People think, no, you can't overtake it to Tota. Well, J. Cole has proven that you can.
Yeah, he had such momentum coming out of Villeneuve in towards Tota compared to Lukey. He was just able to send it clean around the outside, and the grip of those mediums just gave him absolutely everything he needed to get that move done. And now he's got the chicane, and now he's on the back of Colin, while Colin does not have DRS on Collie up ahead.
We're seeing some more pit stops, Mike. Kieran, Marco and Chris come in, so that's, apart from Owen, everyone doing their first stops, and we're seeing a train start to develop, you're right. So Colin needs to get a move on and try and defend for his life, because we know how the delta between the hards and the mediums are when they first start. Look at the overspeed. Here comes Jack. It's going to be easy pickings, but he's got to keep an eye on the pit lane past Casper. Look at how, not Casper, Kieran. Kieran just lost so much time because of that undercut, and him losing so much time because he started on the hards. He's on the hards again. He's going to stretch those for a long time, but him just starting on the wrong tyre just cost him a little bit there. Yellow flag, that's one of the Red Bulls, I think, of Robite.
Yeah, it's not going well for Robite at the moment, as he's in the gravel and he's off track again, coming through the exit of Villeneuve. And
Lukey and Marco.
yeah, I think he's...
Sorry. Marco's through
Marco
on Lukey.
Yeah, I think Robite, his setup might have been good in qualifying, but I don't think it's tailored for the race.
As Colin's had enough. Colin's had enough, Mike, into... He's past Minerali. He just got too throttle happy.
It's been a horrid day for Colin Mason. It's been a horrid day for him, and I mean, he was hoping for a good result. He can still get a top 9. I still think he can get a top 9, but it's going to be an uphill battle from here now.
He's going to hope for a safety car, but we haven't had any in any of the other tiers, so that's probably not going to happen. J Carl's through on Collie up to 7th. So honestly, J Carl was having a very good second sim. Maybe that is working. Maybe what he's doing, he's going for an early undercut on those mediums. He's probably going to go to about lap 16, 17, then pitting onto the hard, and then get to the end of the race. Because we saw earlier on, I think 1 or 2 drivers pitting about lap 17, 18, still making it work, and then getting a good result out of it. As you can see, I think Arnold having a battle with his dear friend Kieran. We'll see how that's going to unfold into Piratella. We saw J Carl get the move done earlier, as Arnold has done exactly the same thing.
Yeah, and that's just allowed Marco to get within DRS now. That little side-by-side battle right there has lost him a decent amount of time, and that's allowed Marco into this stream.
That's why you don't want to lose too much time with fighting, because you're going to allow multiple people fighting. Everyone now has done their first pit stops, and that will put Ben Mills to the lead of this race. But I think Callum and Arms, he's not bothering about attacking Ben Mills. What he's doing is just making sure he's within DRS of him and trying to save that battery, because the race is not over until the fat lady sings. He doesn't want to go for it just yet. Callum knows what he's doing. He's just happy staying behind him right now. That's the only mini trainers happening apart from this fight between J Cole downwards from Collie, Arnold, Kieran and Marco, which is going to be very interesting. So Owen's gone for the mediums as well, as he's going to try and close in on Lukey. Don't forget this for the final point as Casper gets a penalty.
And that could be crucial come the end of the race, depending on if any safety cars pop out.
Owen around the
especially
outside of Lukey in towards Tota. Now becomes the inside line. Job done. We're seeing more moves being made into Tota tonight. This is crazy.
Yeah, I think it's just the nature of Villeneuve. You carry a little bit too much speed, it really pushes you off on the exit, and that allows the car behind, who can focus a little bit more on braking a little bit earlier to get the better exit, to go for that move around the outside or down the inside of Tosa. So I think that's what we're seeing right there. And back up towards the action for the top 5. J. Cole is now in DRS range of Nick.
Nick in the 5th place, could be on for his best result of the season, but J. Cole is looking like he's going to try and be the biggest climber. Arnold does get past Collie. Arnold is showing he's got the pace. Owen has got past another driver up to 11th or in 2 points right now on those mediums. He also may be looking for the early undercut later on in this race. Who knows? Or maybe he'll be going for two mediums. We won't know until a little bit later on in this race. But our attention is between this pairing of Nick and J. Cole. Yellow flag.
Callum's off. Callum's off.
Round. Oh no, he was having such a good race. He did lose a bit of time for Ben, to be fair, but that's promoted Casper to P2.
Yeah, and now Senna's on the back of Callum here.
That's going to allow Senna to be like, you know what, Podium could be on the cards here. This, I don't think he'll be predicting there. Words. I don't think he'll be predicting this.
I mean, we did predict Senna for a podium. We both predicted Senna for a podium.
No, I don't think he will be predicting this.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, you meant
yeah. Well, yeah, we predicted Senna for a podium. I predicted him P3. Senna gets past Callum, and with the overspeed, that's definitely helped him there. J. Cole doing the same on Nick on the mediums, and Arnold's not that far behind as well. This could be a good day for the Alpine pairing. Marco trying to do the same on Collie, which he does.
Yeah, and I was going to say just a lap or two ago, Jess.
Yes.
If Axlock is watching right now, he's got to be watching this with a bit of a smile on his face, seeing Kieran and Marco down to the tail end of the top 10, knowing that they're not gaining as much as what he would have feared going into this race.
I think the only person that's going to gain a lot more is Ben Mills in P1, but we know he was going to potentially win this race, so I'm sure Axelot wouldn't be too worried about that, but no one can't help being ill. Did we see Kieran have a bit of a moment in that Minerali? He lost a bit of time to Marco. Arnold does get past Nick in towards the very end of that was brave from the Belgium, but he's got it. He's still got it in him. I wonder if Nick is struggling on those hards right now, because that's allowing Kieran to close in.
Yeah, I think he is beginning to feel the weight of those hard compound tyres now. And I think J. Cole as well is going to start to feel the weight of those mediums. 6 laps on, and here comes Arnold on the back of him here. And Arnold's going to get himself up into P5 as Callum makes an overtake ahead of the other Alpine of Senna back into the podium position. And in fact, they're battling down into towards Villeneuve.
Yeah, they're still battling, so Callum's not giving up without a fight. Callum is still on for the podium. But don't forget, Callum is very good at not picking up penalties. I'm laughing at what's going on in the chat right now. Axelot is saying, I'll smile when Nick messes up.
I think Lucky will also be smiling if Nick messes up, but let's hope not. He's on for a great result so far. And he's right in the mix at the moment, but he is dropping time hand over fist. And that is hindering now Marco, who's getting held up behind Nick.
Yeah, Marco is getting hindered quite a lot at the moment. And another one that's being hindered is Alexa. That's had a bit of a moment again in the Ravazza corner. So he's going to get lapped soon. One of that will cause a safety car. Where is he at the moment? Nope, he's not, but he's going to go into the pits. I won't be surprised if he goes to retire the car.
I mean, I would still keep going, because you never know. You can still get the fastest lap point from outside the top 10. So if Alexa's listening, that's what you got to focus on now, the fastest lap.
Yeah, and he's still going, which is fair enough. Soft tyres. So I think he just raced it from himself, which is fair enough. That's what most people should do. As you can see, Lukey! The first driver to get a 10-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane, as Alexa does retire from the race.
That is unfortunate there, Alexa. I thought Alexa would have gone for the fastest lap. And
Callum's pitted.
Yep. And I don't blame Callum for that. He lost a huge amount of time due to that off moment on the exit of Racco Minerali. And he needs to get an undercut on Senna to get away from him. And try to get back within that 3-second window of Casper as well.
Yeah. He's smart. If you know you're losing time, come into the pits. As Senna gets a penalty. That's going to breathe a sigh of relief on Casper, who's also got a 3-second. So Casper can't afford to get another one. But the gap's too big anyway.
Casper's in.
Casper's in the pit lane. And luckily, he did not do what Lukey did and sped. Casper did the right thing there. So hard tyres, I believe, for Casper. Yes, it is. I think if you were pitting now, you would go on hards. There was no way the mediums would get to the end. Like, speaking from experience, the 1-2 on the mediums behind me, they just ended up losing so much more time in the final few laps because the mediums were just not durable enough. So if you start pit onto the mediums now, it's not going to be ideal for you. So Casper comes out in 9th place, but he's going to climb way up the order. And luckily, he's got some clear air in front of him.
Yeah, and that was important for Casper to get just ahead of Chris there as well. So that's a good pit stop there from Casper's point of view. Nice fresh air to push into now, and he can try his best to build up a decent gap now in the rest of the field. Because I don't think he's going to close up enough to Ben Mills to challenge him for the race win. But it's about consolidating P2 now for Casper.
Yeah. Casper has been certain races where it hasn't gone his way. I think last week being one of them, he felt like he could have done a lot better. This is redemption week for him. I think it's been redemption week in a lot of leagues he was in. He missed out on the victory by spinning in one league on Tuesday. Then he went on to take the victory on the Thursday. And on the Sunday, he's looking like he's going on the podium. Senna's in the pits. Okay.
And J. Cole.
J. Cole is in as well. J. Cole's on for a set of hards, I'm reckoning. I do see hard on the McLaren garage. So, smart move for J. Cole. Could this work out for him? I thought quite a few other drivers would come into the pits now, but I know what Ben could be doing here. I wonder if Ben is saving up for the mediums at the end.
I mean, potentially he did have the gap on Casper to stay out a few laps, and obviously Casper with that penalty, Ben would have known that from just the table anyway. He'll know that he can stretch these out, go into a set of mediums, and then try to get the fastest lap overall.
Yeah, fastest lap overall is going to be very interesting for... Because we know with 1 point can make a difference. We saw that in P2 last season, I believe. So...
Yeah.
If that 1 point can make a difference of you winning and losing a championship. Ben is in, so he's not going for mediums then, I don't think. But you never know. He could prove me wrong there. We'll see what everybody else could do. Kieran is closing it into Arnold again, which they've been battling for quite a long time. We're heading into the overcast section of the race. You could probably tell on your screens at the moment. You could see as he tries and closes in. Ben Mills in the pit lane. He is going to be, I think, definitely ahead of Casper. But where else is he going to come out of? Let's hope he doesn't come out ahead of traffic. Where is he? He's clear air. That's relief for Ben Mills. He could just take it home.
Yeah, obviously, I mean, Casper closed in massively, obviously, with a 2-lap undercut. He's got the gap down to 1.4. But he needs to hope, though, that the likes of Colley and Owen get their elbows out with each other and they slow up Ben down. But I have a feeling that Owen will be peeling off into the pits very soon. Same with Colley.
Yeah, I think Owen's going to lose so much time if he doesn't pit. Same with Colley. Arnold, I think, would stretch out for Sam Memes at the end. I think there's no point him doing that. There were some dangers of some people in Arctic staying out hoping for a safety car and it just not happening. I think we now know that it probably can't happen. But Arnold's doing very well to save his tyres at the moment. He's saving quite a bit of battery as well. He comes in, low speed. Yep, he just about gets the car stopped. So he is in. Marco's in as well. And Owen thought about staying out, but he was like, no, I'm going to lose enough time if I don't. Meanwhile, Ben Mills is going to get the overspeed on the Red Bull driver of Colley. Colley's not going to make it look easy, though, in towards T1 and 2. Ben Mills up into P2 on the road, but it won't be that long before he leads the race.
Yeah, Ben Mills closing in rapidly. And now, Jess, this is where things are going to get interesting because you got Arnold and Marco on the fresh mediums now. And they are free to really push and attack the likes of J. Cole, Senna, and see if they can do anything with regards to Kieran when he comes into the pit lane.
This is going to be interesting. You can see the way that Marco is attacking those curves because he wants to try and close in with the fresher rubber. I'm liking the variance of strategies. I think if people pit on memes now, it could just about get to the end, but it's going to be a very tall order, I think. Yeah,
it's definitely going to be a tall order, but we'll have to wait and see. Obviously, Imola, you never know what can happen. We've seen mistakes already creeping in from some of the drivers. Obviously, Colin breaking up into Aquaman. Oh no.
And Nick, penalties. Kira's in the pits for his final stop. I think that's most of the leading bunch coming into the pits now. So where will Kieran end up? We don't know, but we can see, I think, a battle between Chris and Senna happening at the moment. Senna's got to get past the traffic at some point, which he does. Senna, I believe, is a net P4 at the moment, which for his second race back, that's good going.
Yeah, but he's got a threat of his teammate closing in rapidly on mediums in behind. And that's going to be an interesting battle between the two teammates, the two returning drivers, Jess.
Arnold versus Senna. What are they going to do? I know they're going to probably be in a party together. So how are they going to communicate? Are they going to have team orders? Or are they just going to let them race? I don't know at this point. None of them are in the fight for the championship. If I were Fabio Briatore on the pit wall, I would just let them race. But if it gets to feisty, then of course, then there could be team orders at play, or maybe just work together. You never know. Arnold, by the way, is... Oh, it's going to be hard with the dirty air, especially in Variante Alta. He's got the overspeed again. No, Chris covers it off very nicely. Nice defending from Chris. Chris is running out of birds, though, as Collie has got 10 seconds. But let's ignore Collie in just a moment because we've got a battle for P6 here on the road. Is Chris going to come in? No, but he's not. Chris is going to go in for mediums later on then. So here comes Arnold. Goes to the left-hand side line. J. Cole is through on Chris as well. That's a fight that I didn't see J. Cole coming. So J. Cole taking advantage very nicely there.
And you know what, right? This could be good for J. Cole. As long as he can stay in the DRS of Arnold here, it's going to be good because Arnold's going to close him up to center, and that could be an extra 2 spots there for the McLaren. So J. Cole, all he's got to do is just stay with Arnold.
He's got no penalties either, so yes, you're right. As long as he stays within 3 seconds of Arnold, then he can gain quite a bit, but he wants to gain quite a few more places than that. Or maybe just be the patient guy, close in on Arnold, and hope that the mediums die a little bit, and then close in on Senna, and that's all you could do. That's what J. Cole is going to think, at least. But we know, once we get to lap 30, those hearts are going to die for a lot of these drivers. But we'll see as they continue. More drivers are picking up penalties left, right, and centre. So it's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 drivers. Maybe 6 drivers who have not got penalties so far this race. And if there's a safety car, that could help them a lot, as we got Chris in the pit lane. So I believe everybody, apart from Nick potentially, yes, everyone now has done their 2 stops.
I tell you what, Jess, it's about to be very interesting here. It's Alpine versus McLaren, because you got Senna on the back of Callum Hernandez. Senna touches the grass on the entry into Tulsa, and that has just lost him a decent amount of time. But Callum could be playing the team game here, wanting to back Senna up into his teammate Arnold, and inadvertently, obviously that will bring a J. Cole along for the ride, and J. Cole could jump the pair of them on penalties.
I think we saw that in Silverstone, didn't we, between McLaren and Williams. One Williams fighting a McLaren and another Williams fighting a McLaren. We're seeing the same thing, but with the Alpine. It's always like a blue car and a orange car. It's yellow flag. That was Chris, who's round into just after Villeneuve there. I think he got the car a little bit unsettled there as well. But I'm liking this inter-team rivalry. This is going to be very, very interesting. And I think Senna and Arnold, they are getting used to this game a lot more. I had a feeling this was the case. This is a track which suits both the Alpine drivers now to a T. And what is J. Cole going to do? Is that going to help him with penalties? Chris just picked up another one as I just said that. So I will shut up with penalties, as J. Cole did the right thing and braking just a little bit early to avoid getting in the dirty air of Arnold.
Yeah, I think J. Cole, as long as he can stay with Arnold here, he's right now, he's within the 3-second time penalty of both Senna and Arnold. So J. Cole is sitting in a very good spot right now.
J. Cole, I have to say, could be on course for P4. Actually, could be on course for a podium. Here, could be on course for a podium. Actually, no, he won't. P4, yeah, I was right the first time. He could be on course for P4, despite the fact that he started low down, did not have the best of qualifying. It's not one of his worst tracks. So he's shown he could get the strategy right, because strategy we've seen in all 3 tiers can be key on getting a good result tonight.
Well, I'll tell you another 2 drivers to keep an eye on as well, Jess, is Kieran and Marco. If they play their cards right as well, with these guys playing games up ahead, they could also get in this mix, and then Senna and Arnold drop down an extra few more places.
That is a good point, and that's what we saw, I think, especially when during my battle in P2, where I was fighting with someone in front, and the guys behind were just gaining quite a lot of time, and it's just a danger of them maybe not trying to go for moves, potentially. So we'll see as we get to the final half of the race. I'm almost certain now, Mike, we're not going to get any safety cars because we're this late into the race.
Yeah, we didn't even get a virtual safety car either, so my prediction's out the window again.
No safety cars or VSC'd in any tiers tonight. Nada. It's unbelievable considering in most seasons in one hub where we've had Imola, we've had at least 1 or 2 safety cars around Imola.
I mean, it's absolutely incredible. So, I mean, I think all the drivers across all tiers give themselves a round of applause now for that here tonight. Keeping it safety car free. And right now, Jess, we've got a very juicy Alpine versus McLaren 4-way scrap about to kick off.
And bring it on. Who's going to be the one that gets the advantage here? We don't know. Could we see a fight for the podium between both McLarens or both Alpines? We'll have to wait and see. Senna goes around the outside of Callum. Senna goes through up into third. And will this be the motivation that Senna needs to try and increase the gap to make sure he gets within 3 seconds to get that podium? Callum's going to try and make sure that Senna doesn't even have a sniff of the podium. Callum has no penalties. He's got to stay within DRS range.
Yeah, he's got to stay within DRS. Obviously, Callum, a very wise driver. He's not going to go for anything risky. But saying that, he's about to go around the outside of Piratella. And that could be very risky.
That's brave if I was Callum there. And that's allowing now just to close in a little bit. Or is this mind games for Callum? Is this helping Jacob to close in? Yes, it is. Maybe Callum is doing this to help Jacob.
Yeah, I'm almost certain he's trying to keep J. Cole in touching distance of both of these penalties. The one thing that they have to be wary about, though, is that gap to Kieran and Marco in behind as well. Even though we're about to come on to lap 30 of 32, there's still time for Kieran and Marco to get within 3 seconds of those penalties.
Yeah, definitely. It is not that long to go until the end. Here comes Callum. Through on Senna once more, and it's not over until it's over. Don't forget, DRS chicken is banned in this league, so they can't afford to slow down too much. But the mind games are coming. We've got the McLarens are in an Alpine sandwich, and the Alpines are in a McLaren sandwich. We don't know which way to look right now. Marco's on the back of Kieran. They could be on for a good result here tonight as well, but they can't afford to slide everywhere on those mediums. Those mediums must be crying for mercy at the moment.
Yeah, and you're seeing Nick is closing in on these guys as well. So I think maybe their mediums are just beginning to fall away.
Yeah, I think so as well. I think we saw it with, all tiers. Once it got to that lap 6, lap 7 mark, the mediums were starting to slide quite a bit. So they're on a nice edge at the moment. What are you seeing, Mike?
Through the chicane, it got very close between Senna and Arnold and J. Cole through the chicane. So, yeah, I think it's getting very tasty right now in this battle for the podium.
Lukey and Chris go the fastest lap of this race. That's why they're on the soft compound of tyres. I don't blame them because they're not going to gain that much position otherwise. But we are on the penultimate lap of this race. Jaco, he's got to get the move done now, which he does not. I don't know what this is going to do in terms of penalties, but for Senna and Arnold, then probably they're going to be finishing behind the McLarens anyway. Jaco and Callum could not afford to get any penalties. If they do, that will reward the Alpines big time. So they got to work quite nicely together. Kieran's fined a thing about a few tenths between himself and this bunch as well. Kieran could have been up there, but because he was on the wrong side to start the race, that's what's costing him a little bit, and he's running a bit out of airs. Actually, no, scrap that. He's on 45% of airs at the moment, so he's doing not too bad on this occasion. I feel bad for not talking about the front two, Mike, because the front two are having probably a show in the park currently.
Ben Mills has crossed the line to start the final lap of the race, and Casper has just started his final lap as well. But yeah, I mean, they've just been in a race by themselves for several laps now, the pair of them, and all the action has been this action by here for the final podium position.
It's going to go to Callum at the moment.
Yeah, it's going to go to Callum. The one thing, potentially, Jess, obviously, Arnold's tyres are definitely going to be falling off now. Does he try and back up J. Cole to keep Senna in P4?
I think if I was Arnold, I would definitely do that. Because otherwise, Senna's going to lose out on so much more. Yellow flag, that's Owen's round. He was having a decent race, but he lost it into Tamburello, turn 2. His mediums. He's not liking those mediums. I don't think Arnold's liking those mediums either. He's proven that he's got a penalty. It's so much easier to get a penalty, Mike, on worn tyres.
That's borderline with Kieran right now. That's borderline with Kieran right now.
Yes, that's true. Oh my goodness, we missed the crossing the line. Ben Mills crossed the line to take the victory of the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. His second win in a row. Casper takes second, but who's going to get the final spots in the top 4? Callum's going to get third, but who's going to get fourth? It's going to be Jaco. It's McLaren 3-4. Great fight between the top 4. I feel bad for not following Ben Mills take the victory. Kieran just about gets sick from Arnold. Wow.
I said it was borderline. Marco was almost jumping him as well. That final 3-second really dropped Arnold just a little bit further than what he would have wanted, but good result from Nick and Colin, both inside the top 10. They can both be happy with that, and Colin picking up the final point.
And fastest lap outside the top 10 is Lukey. So Lukey gets a point.
Unless Roadbike gets it.
Unless Roadbike gets it. 60. I think Roadbike might have got it on the last lap. It did belong to Lukey. We will cross that bridge when we get to it. But Ben Mills and Casper, 2 drivers that won a league of their own tonight. I think no one could have touched them. Casper with the great race pace and quality. Pretty much both of them had good race and quality pace. But it was Ben Mills that reigned supreme. I predicted Ben Mills for the podium, for the win. I didn't predict any other driver to get the podium. So I think that's probably worked a little bit. I almost predicted Casper, but I think Casper's probably relieved that I haven't at the moment. So we'll go for your order. What were you saying, Anna?
I went for the other RB.
You went for Kieran, and Kieran went on the rubbish strategy. Anyway, here we go then. Ben Mills from Casper, Callum and Jaco from 12th to 4th. Then we got Senna, Kieran, Arnold, Marco, Nick, Colin, Owen, Collie, Roadbike, Chris, Lukey, and your only retirement, Alexa. Roadbike did not get fastest lap, so yes, Lukey does get fastest lap outside the top 10. Fastest lap inside the top 10 goes to, you guessed it, Ben Mills. Both Williams actually getting fastest laps. So well done to both the Williams pairing. But we got to pick our sim racing setup driver of the day. What would you like to ask him? And actually, first of all, who would you pick and what would you like to ask him?
Sure. I'm going to go, just because it's easy to go with Ben for the domination, but I'm going to go with J. Cole, because he came from 12th, finished P4, and he was right in the hunt at the end for the podium, while starting on the alternative strategy. He started on the set of the hards in that first stint, and he made it work to come back for the field. So that would be my pick for driver of the day, and my question for J. Cole would be, did you think that you would be up there fighting for the podium at the end of the race, knowing that that first stint just left you miles behind the podium when you came into the pit lane?
You nicked my driver of the day pick. But I went first last week, so it's only fair that you went first this week. My driver of the day, I don't know whether to give it to Ben Mills or Casper, but we did see Ben had to work quite a lot to try and get past Callum in the first stint, and he just handled the pressure all the way through. So I unfortunately, I'm going to go for the boring choice. My driver of the day goes to Ben Mills, and my question is, congratulations on yet another victory. Based on your brilliant performance so far this season, do you think the title is within reach for you? So that is my question for Ben Mills. And you can vote for them tomorrow if you're a driver on the Discord. Next week, we head to Singapore on the 5th of October. A track with a lot of walls. It is a night race, and it's a lot of fun for the drivers to race at. I'm almost guaranteed that in most Singapore races I've commentated at, we've seen quite a bit of sprinkle of rain. Will we see that next week?
Possibly. There's only one way to find out. But I'm very excited for Singapore, Jess. I know I've said it in the past, and I'm going to say it again. I have never commentated over a poor race at Singapore.
Singapore has been a lot of fun to commentate on, but unfortunately I'm not going to be here next week. I'm away on holiday, so we don't know who's going to join you, Mike, in the commentary box, but we are going to be swapping roles, kind of, because you're going to be given the honours of lead commentator, and I have to give you all the assets and all that. But so Mike will be lead commentator next week. We don't know who's going to be joining him. You'll find out towards the end of the week on who's going to be joining him, but that means I'm not going to be racing either. But yeah, standout race for Ben Mills. Of course, Casper, Jacob having a very good one as well. And the McLaren and Alpine battle having a lot of fun. So you could join Mike in the P1 tier commentary box next week with commentator to be confirmed. Thank you to all our sponsors as usual: SimGrid, Vespertine, Next Level Racing, Pure Sim Gear and Sim Racing Setups, and of course our charity Mental Health Foundation. And also thank you to everybody for taking part in the racing tonight, and thank you to everybody for watching. So Ben Mills remains supreme. Will he remain supreme next week? You could join us same time at 7:30, sorry, for the Singapore Grand Prix. Thank you for listening, and good night.